stars. Professional adventures taking you far. Communication and leadership, it's all in your hands. Unlock your potential with your dreams being expanded.
Okay, Dr. Jun, the floor is yours. Retire rich or get taxed dry. That sounds exciting.
Hmm. Which one would you choose?
I would choose to retire rich. I'm on the edge of my chair here. I want to really understand how I can avoid getting taxed dry.
I agree with you. That's what we're going to tackle today. Not get test dry. All right, everyone. I would say many of us, we were told time and time again, maybe in our whole life here, that we'll be in the lower tax bracket when we retire. Today, we're going to challenge some of our existing beliefs. So our goal of this webinar, right, is to give you some great aha moments that can truly transform your financial future. My name is Jun Huang, the founder and financial strategist at Insight Global Financial. I provide you the insight so you can make decisions most suitable to you. So let me start with a question here. If you're looking to develop a financial plan, right, what's more important? Is it more important to select the right investments, or is it more important to select the correct strategy? I would definitely agree. It's best to have, right, the correct strategy. I would say most people, right, just jump from, investment to investment to investment, right? They're just trying to pursue the best investment. Let me ask you this question. So if you were to enter a, professional badminton tournament, right, this weekend, let's say, what would you prefer to have in that tournament? Would you rather to have lean dance skills or swing, right? Or would you have his racket? I don't know about you, right? But I know my answer. I would much rather to have his swing. A friend of mine, so he was a competitive player. He was a champion in his district. And one time he was so lucked out. Right? So it just happened that he met Lin Dan in his gym. So he went up to him and asked, can we play a game? And Lin Dan agreed. To make the game like more even, right? So Lin Dan didn't use his usual racket. He actually didn't use any rackets at all. So the copper tube, right? That's used to store the badminton birdie, right? So Lin Dan used that to play against my friend, and you probably already guessed it, right? Lin Dan won without a racket, without breaking a sweat. So the swing, right, is worth was worth tens of millions of dollars. If the answer was as easy as just getting a racket, right? We're gonna do what? We're all gonna go buy rackets and become, professional, just like Lin Dan. It's not the racket. The answer, right, is in the swing. And this is what makes Insight Global special, right? I work with you to strategize the best swing for you, right? Not just giving you a racket. I'll share with you some of my favorite tax rackets, right, that really tend to enhance our swing here. So first, let's take a look at how much IRA or 401k benefits us, or not, right? So I have two sample profiles that are nearly identical. Both started saving at 22 years old until retirement at 67, and they make the same amount each year. They save the same amount each year. So the only difference is, one saved in the pre-tax account and pay tax, in retirement, and the other one saved in after-tax, account and pay tax upfront. So this person, he makes 100K each year, right, and saves 23K pre-tax, right, in 401k each year. And we can see, right, so he will be pretty well off, right? 88% chance of having a good retirement. So basically the money doesn't outlive, right? So he outlive his money and could have $3.7 million remaining when he passes. Pretty successful, right? Pretty good. Let's see a second person. So this person, She also makes 100K a year, also contribute 23K a year every year, but she chooses to pay tax upfront. And she also has a fantastic retirement, somewhat higher probability of success, and she could have almost 5 million bucks, right, remaining. So they are very similar in any aspect, right? It's just that they swing differently about how to save for retirement. So let's look at this. So he chooses to save pre-tax, right? And in his retirement, right, not only, right, so he saves pre-tax, and in his retirement, right, not only, he didn't get into a lower bracket, right? Each line represent a different tax bracket. In fact, he went up 2 tax brackets, what I just showed you. So this girl, she saved after tax, and she doesn't pay the astronomical tax bills. We work so hard for our money. Would you like to have the best swing, right, for you so that even though, right, you are not sharing one more dollar, but that swing, right, could generate you a lot more. So for the person that save pre-tax versus after tax, this person saved after tax, right, has 35% more money. And the total amount of tax paid, about $1 million less tax. So what if, right, the swing, right, you don't need to, right, save $1 more, but the swing, right, generate you $1 million extra, right? Just like that, right? What can you do with that extra $1 million? This might be shocking. It's very different than what we were told. But that's not the swing just yet. So now I will share with you the swing, and I'll help you to overcome, right, the danger of silent partner that's hidden in your IRA 401k you may or may not be aware of. IRA and 401k is not a sole proprietorship. So what is it? Right? It's a partnership. Anytime, right, you add money into a 401k IRA, right, that money is going into a partnership. So who are the true partners? The owners, right, in the partnership. So one is you, and the other one is
Your advisor, your investment manager.
Oh, that's actually a very good point, right? The asset manager, and also Uncle Sam. Uncle
Mm,
Sam take a bigger cut than the financial advisor.
okay. You would hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so. That's exactly. And also, right, that's not just taking a cut. So who controls the split of the ownership, right? Is it you? It's not you. It's not you. The government, right, control the split of the ownership. And they can change their own, their share of ownership anytime they want, right? Simply like raising or lowering the taxes. I don't know about you, but I really don't see Uncle Sam's appetite getting smaller, right? I see that it getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And that's a financial swing I'll share with you. That is to take back control. The earlier 2 examples that I just showed you, right? They're just for illustration. They're not definitely not advices. And we typically do much better optimization than that simple comparison. This country, right, has accumulated $8 trillion of debt in the past 200 plus years since the country was founded. In this century alone, right, it grew more than 3 times to $34 trillion. The government would take whatever, right, they need and want based on what they need and want and leave you with whatever is left over. That's so critical that I help you to take control back. When you look at it, right, the government actually has 3 different types of income that they tax on us. So one is the earned or ordinary income, right, through salaries, wages, and 2 is a passive income, right, through rents, leases, etc. And 3 is a portfolio income through interest, dividends, right? So no matter what kind of income you have, right, the government's gonna figure out how they're gonna get their hands on it. But you can, right, get away from not having any of these 3 kinds of income. So that means, when you don't have any of these three types of income and you have money, right, it will not be subject to taxes. And that's one of my little secrets. So, yeah, so the government also have three main methods, right? The use to raise taxes on us. And before I get to the three, main methods, let me ask you a very important question here. How many of you, right, believe that the future tax rates are mostly going to be lower? So put A in the chat box if you think it will be lower. Would you say? Anyone? No, huh? Yeah, this is usually, what I see, right? Most people don't think the tax would be lower. So who think that the tax will stay the same, right? If you think so, that put B in the chat box.
The only way it could go lower is if we all go homeless.
That's a good point. Probably that's why we're so quiet. I completely agree. All right, so let's go ahead, right, and put C in the chat box if you think that mostly going higher. C. Yeah, totally. We all see the writing on the wall, right? It's no secret. And everybody see that future tax rates are most likely going to be higher. Just a couple of very quick examples, right? 2026, our tax rates might go up a few percent, right? But the effective rate for many of us will be like 20+% higher. And Biden, if you've seen it, right, had a proposal to double the long-term capital gain, right, from up to 20% now to 40%, right, in his proposal. Well, so if that's the case, right, that you believe the future tax rates will be higher, right, you need to ask this follow-up question. So what should you be doing right now if you believe the tax rate will be higher? Right? If not, we're just going to sit back and allow the government to continue to raise taxes on us, right? And there are three main methods that they will raise taxes on us. One, right, is they just simply raise tax rates. And two, right, is that they manipulate tax thresholds. And three, they eliminate deductions. They've been using all three of these methods, right? They don't just use, just one of them. They use all three. So now let's take a look at each one of them a little closer. So the first one, simply raising the tax rates. So what's the highest tax rate that we pay in the federal tax level? Anyone put in the chat box? Anyone guess? It's 37%. Oh, 45. All right, that's probably maybe in a few years. Right now, it's 37%. Oh, Angela, 39.5. So this will likely be the tax rate in 2026. Well, both of you are ahead of us. All right. So,
Pessimists, we're pessimists.
or realist.
Yeah.
All right. So if you are in the highest income tax bracket right now, the maximum rate you will pay in the federal income tax is 37%. So let me ask you right now another question. So what's the highest tax rate there has ever been in the US history? This is a harder question. Ooh, 90. All right. You have a big appetite, just like the government. Actually, a little bit higher, 94%. That's the highest we have ever been.
I was going to say it, but based on my being too high last time, I was a bit more conservative.
Right? That's just crazy, right? So most people just can't even, fathom that. So we had tax rate as high as 94%, and right now it's only 37%. and historically, right, it's averaged 55%. And of course, now we're down at 37, and that's why you see so many politicians, right, in DC trying to make that argument, right, that we're below the historical average, and that's why we need to raise tax rates and get back to where we were again, right? Of course, we roll our eyes, and I don't think so, right? But that's the argument, right? That's the argument that they're trying to make here. Now, this is just one way, right? That's a way that I would say the government want us to focus on, right? The tax rate. And the tax rate is what we focus on the most, right? But raising or lowering the tax rate is the least effective way the government raises tax on us. But it is the one that we watch the most. I would say that's what they want, right? And while we're watching the tax rate over here and secretly over there, right, they are raising taxes on us using the other two methods. So actually the number one way that the government raises tax on us is actually not through raising or lowering, the actual tax rates. It's by manipulating tax thresholds. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's go all the way back to 1917. And the highest tax rate in 1917 is 68%. We're at 37 down here. And, would you like to live back in 1917 where the highest tax rate is 68%? And most people are like, no, I don't think so, right? I'd rather to be today and where it's only 37%. But let's look at a little closer. So let's assume, right, there's a citizen making 750K a year. That's a very good income, right?
Mm.
$750,000 a year, right? Very good. And you're going to be in this 37% bracket. So let's transplant that exact same person, right, to 1917. So they have the equivalent income in 1917 dollars. And so you're making the equivalent of 750K a year right now. It means in 1917 is $29,000. So and that's the same thing, right, as 750K today. So back in 1917, right, if you're making the equivalent of 750,000 today, right, what tax rate you think that'll be? Probably 60%, right? Or something very much at the top. Would you think it would be somewhere at the bottom? Probably not, right? So the highest rate was a 68, right? And so your maximum tax rate back in 1917, right? If you make 750,000 equivalent today, it's not 68. It's not today's 37%. It is 12%. 12%. Everyone, that's exact same person today, right? That is paying 37% is paying just 12%, right, in 1917, when the highest tax rate was 68%, right? So that's triple the tax that we're paying.
So what you're saying is even though you would have had only $29,000 in 1917,
Right.
you would have had a lot more purchasing power from your after-tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Right.
A lot more purchasing power, right? So how has the government done that, right? They've done that by simply slowly, right, manipulating the tax thresholds. So does everyone remember back when we were kids in the biology class? Did you try the most effective way to boil a frog, right? Isn't it just like the old saying? If you take a frog and just throw it into a boiling pot of water, right? It just jump out right away, right? But instead, if you stick it in a cold water and slowly heat it up, you can boil the frog to death and it doesn't even move, right? It just sit there until it's dead. Everyone, so this is exactly right what the government has been doing for the last 100 years, right? They've been slowly heating us up. And very recent example, the Utah state government, right? They did exactly the same thing, right? In this century. So I hate to break it to you, but we're the frogs that's slowly being, boiled to death. And you've got to figure out your swing here. You've got to. Now, the third way the government raises tax on us, right, is through deductions, right? Eliminate the deductions. And in fact, our system, right, was built that, when you retire, you lose your three biggest deductions. So this is, this is why, right, most people don't find themselves in a lower tax bracket when they hit retirement, right? Because they lose three of their largest deductions. So more income, right, is exposed to taxes.
Mm.
So what are they, right? One is you lose your mortgage interest deduction, right? Because you finally got a house, right? Next is your children, right? The theory was that when you hit retirement, your children are grown and they move out, right? Well, that was a very good theory, but in reality, right, what being seen is that when the children are grown, um, they just never move out, right? Or they move out and then shortly after they move back, and they're called the boomerang generation. So, right? Have you heard about that, Mark?
Oh yeah.
Yes, so common right now.
Mm.
And the largest deduction for many people, right, that we lose in retirement is the one that we don't even think about. The largest deduction you end up losing is your ROA 401k contributions, right? Just think about it, right? Right before the retirement, right? Are you or do you plan to shove as much money as you can into those IRAs, 401ks, so you can have more money for retirement, right? And all of a sudden, you hit retirement and you still, are you still saving money? No, right? You do the opposite. And you're pulling money out and exposing it to taxes. So most retirees retire and they don't end up being in a lower tax bracket, right? Most of us are in the same or often in a higher tax bracket, right? As we saw earlier in the webinar. Most people, when they retire, right? So their income does go down, but their taxes go up. So again, right? It's because most of your income is exposed to taxes. So that's why your taxable income went up, but your gross income went down. Next, I want to show you the impact of taxes. Well, so you may think that, is tax really something that we should be concerned about, right? Everyone, I know as you retire, right, taxes will end up being one of the largest, if not the largest bill, right, you've ever paid over the entire retirement years. And not only that, right, what do taxes do to our money? So let's look at the miracle of compound interest. Okay. So if I will give you a dollar and you double it to $2, then you double that, right? From $2 to four. And then you do it again, right? From four turns to eight, eight turns to 16, 32, 64, under eight, right? So on and so forth. And if we do that 20 times, um, how much would that be? Choose to the power of 20. Anyone in the chat box?
I know we have a bunch of math wizards on the call.
$1 million, right? $1 million.
Hmm.
Now, let's see what taxes do, right, to this miracle of compound interest. So let's go back to the original dollar. So when we double it to $2, and we need to pay taxes. So let's just make it simple, say 25% in taxes. So that means, and we just pay the tax on the growth, right? Not the principal. So if we grow to $2, then we pay 25%. So that we net $1.75. Okay. And then we're going to double that, $1.75. So now we have $3.50. And we need to pay tax on that growth. Okay. When we do that 20 times, and instead of having $1 million, we're gonna have less. So how much less? Go ahead and spit out an answer in the chat box. Let's see how much you guess. 60% less. All right, that's a very good guess, Angela. Anyone else? All right, 400K. All right, you guys thinking toward the right direction. So you're going to get a whopping $72,000. 72,000, right? From $1 million. So now let's add the state tax on it. So if you're in California, so it go all the way up to 13.5%. But let's again make it simple. So let's just add an extra 8%. And with that, that will net you a measly $27,000.
Hmm.
Folks, taxes erode away, right, the miracle of compound interest.
Hmm.
We're out of time, so I'm going to skip this. Wait. Time, right, is our most scarce resources, but also our greatest liability, and that is tax, inflation, market volatility, and economic uncertainty. So this time we focus on tax. Again, right, if you diligently put money in to your IRA, to your 401k, you'll be okay, right? Just like the early example. But you probably want something better than just okay. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Hmm.
If you want to, explore the swing, right, that's customized for you, I'm here to help. Um, Mark, admin, could you put the calendar link in the chat box? Oh, actually, maybe I have it right here. I can put it in. And if you don't prefer Calendly, please leave an email and we will reach out to you. And here are a few real cases that I've worked on. So the first one, right, she was in a great shape, right? Very high chance of outliving her money, and may have almost $4 million when she turns 90. And by optimizing her strategy, right, without adding 1 cent more, we increase the possibility, right, and also increase her asset by $3.5 million.
So if I can just make a point of clarification,
Yeah.
the 93% chance of not outliving her money, and then you increase that to 100%.
Yep.
Okay.
And bigger asset. Just like, what we're saying, right? The swing, right? Linda's swing is much more important than his racket. So she has the money and we optimize her swing.
Is some of that 100% helping her to pay less taxes during retirement?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I don't have the figure here, but she actually pay a lot less tax. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we don't take care of the tax situation, doesn't mean that completely tax-free retirement, right? So that's not efficient either.
Yeah.
But if we don't take care of the taxes, right, it will just eat away, right, our saving. So we save, we don't save like just because it grows, right? We don't put money into where it grows the most, but we put places where it generates us the most. Right?
Hmm.
And another example, right? Same thing, right? Great condition, very secure retirement, and without any additional investment, right? We optimize the swing and also combine that with a professional racket, right? We ended up with $13 million at the end of the plan, right? Instead of less than $2 million.
Wow. That's
Yeah. Having the right swing, right, can make all the difference. I can't cover everything that I want you to know in this webinar. So, but because the devil is always in the detail, right? So this the theory behind the swing, but how do you implement this, right? How does this work for you and your set of circumstances? We still have a few minutes, and I want to answer your questions right here, right?
Heather
So
has a question. What is the right swing?
that really depends on individual, right? So if this two-person, right, their circumstances are very different, and what we like need to do, right, is very different. So we always say that like personal finance, right, is much more personal than it's finance. Yeah, just like a car, right? So if I say what's the best car, right? So we all gonna have different answer. For a farmer, maybe it's Ford 350, F350, right? But for some, it could be, 911 GT3, right? So the right swing really depend on our, set of circumstances.
Why don't we go back and forth here, come up with some factors that
Okay. All right.
vary from one person to the next, like your age, right? If you're talking to a 30-year-old professional versus a 60-year-old, you would have like different impact on the strategy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Swing to annuity, that's very, very hard to say. Swing to life insurance is definitely possible, right? Because life insurance has that tax-free. So I think there's a lot of possibilities, right? Just like a doctor, right? If you say, what do I do, right, to so that I don't get sick the whole life, they will not be able to answer you until right they really look at your situation, your family history, and so on and so forth.
Don't the goals of the individual also factor into the strategy?
Absolutely. Right? So, money is a tool, right, to help us to get to the goals we want. So how we manage money, right, really need to align with the goals, right? So how can we best, right, use the money, use the resources to get to where we want? So I think, if everyone has questions and want to address your specific situation, definitely like speak up or put in the chat box. But if you don't want to broadcast your information, write down the question and we can tackle that like offline. And what do I say? If you so when you reach out, right, and we'll work together, right? Design the swing that works the best for you, right? And also I provide you a customized retirement income report, of course, with no obligations, right? You're the CEO, right? In your situation, right? I will be your CFO. I provide my recommendations, and you make the decision. What is the right choice for you? And this report, right, is a detailed report, right, based on you, right, and your circumstances. All right, with that, any specific questions? If not, then everyone, thank you for investing your time with me today.
Dr. Huang, thank you so much for sharing. This has been very useful.
All right, thank you, Mark. That's what I'm here to do.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. See you
Thank
next
you, everyone.
See you next Thursday. Bye-bye.
See ya.
In a world so connected, it's hard to stand out. But I've got a secret that I'm about to shout. Building bridges and making friends, that's how the journey of success begins. Surround yourself with diverse minds, experts in their field, so wise. Together we'll conquer and achieve. Customize your growth, there's nothing you can't conceive. Build your network, reach for the stars. Professional adventures taking you far. Communication and leadership, it's all in your hands. Unlock your potential with your dream team. Stand. Surround yourself with diverse minds, experts in their field, so wise. Together we'll conquer and achieve.